Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to another Coaches Show here on 90.1 KBPK. I'm your host, Ray Baker. As you can see around me, we're on the softball field today because we're going to speak to both head coaches of the softball team here at Fullerton College, award-winning softball coaches. We'll get to that in just a second, as well as some of the players as this softball team gears up for not only their fall schedule, but their schedule coming up and trying to win another Orange Empire Conference championship. We're going to talk to those players just a little bit later, but first, Ryan Osborne has got the catch-up and the wrap-up of what happened with Fullerton College football this last weekend. Ryan?
Thank you very much, Ray. As we take a look at this last Saturday and what Fullerton College was able to do, whether or not they were able to get that bounce back after the heartbreaking loss to College of the Canyons. They'd face a College of the Canyons team the previous week who was all about the passing attack. This time it was Allen Hancock, one of the top 10 rushing teams in the entire state of California, averaging nearly 230 yards of rushing per game combined. So, going into this one, that was one of the things that the coaches told us. We've got to control the line of scrimmage and make sure they can't convert on third down. Well, when you take a look at the scoring, in the first quarter, Brandon Rankins, Ryan Black, and Trey Edwards, 1, 2, 3, 21-0. Fullerton led it after one. In the second quarter, Fullerton got a field goal. Allen Hancock got their only touchdown of the game due to Christian Eric with a 6-yard run to make it 24-7. After that, third quarter, fourth quarter, it was all Fullerton. Brandon Rankins with a 10-yard run and Chandler Galban as well. A final of 41-7 to make Fullerton 3-1 this year. When you look at the final stats, 42% for Fullerton conversion-wise. On the other side, Allen Hancock, what we talked about, third down efficiency, only 2 of 10 at 20%. They only had 3 yards rushing all afternoon compared to Fullerton's 301. It was a huge showing for the defense for Fullerton College as they limited the rushing attempts to 25 and zero point 0.1 yards gained per rush. A big-time performance for Brian Crook's defense, that defensive line, and the linebackers as well, as the Hornets were able to control the entire way. So this upcoming Saturday, Fullerton College is going to end up taking on El Camino on the road as they try and make their squad 4-1 this season. You know what? Let's send it back out to Ray as he's at the softball field here at Fullerton College talking to some coaches.
All right, we're back here on the softball field, and head coach Crystal Geary is with me. And we mentioned in the opening, award-winning. First of all, congratulations. You were named Orange Empire Conference Coach of the Year. Well, co-coach of the year with your partner. We'll get to her in a minute. So congratulations on that. Talk to me a little bit about what that means to you now, being here at Fullerton College and getting that award after a great season last year, getting into this year.
I mean, honestly, the last 10 seasons I've been here, I think that's been my ultimate goal as a former alumni, is to be able to take this program to new heights where it deserves to be. Coach Speedy and I just put our heads together, and we really knew that there needed to be some changes, and those changes came from just... Sorry.
That's okay.
Can't wait to change that.
That's okay.
I get this.
I thought I couldn't do it in one take. I couldn't either. That's all right.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
You want me to ask the question again?
Yeah, let's do that again.
All right. So we're here on the softball field. Again, as the sun comes out, Crystal Geary, co-head coach, is with me. And we mentioned at the beginning, award-winning. Congratulations on that. Co-coach of the year in the Orange Empire Conference. You've been here for 10 years now. What does that do for you in this program going forward to get an acknowledgement like that?
It's a really humbling and nice accolade to receive. Something we've been working really, really hard to do. My partner, Coach Speedy, and myself really just put our heads together and really wanted to change the culture, our coaching philosophy, and really implement that in our program, that confidence is everything, especially with young ladies. There's a lot of confidence that we struggle with from the ages of 14 to 21. And we're really about building up these young women, not just on the field, but off the field, how they thrive on and off the field, how they thrive in the classroom. So when it's their time to graduate and go out into the community, they're dependable, they're strong, and they're independent women.
You mentioned to me too before the interview that you were doing things to get them to get noticed by Division I schools if that's their next step, and not just developing them as a softball player, but developing them all the way around. I don't know that many people look at you guys as that kind of coach. You're a softball coach. They teach them how to get softball, how to play softball. Not so much here in this program.
No, honestly, we take a lot of pride in mentorship. Mentorship from the top of the tier, which meaning our young coaches, all the way down to our players. Now, nowadays in softball's just has grown so much. Everybody's a great hitter, everybody's a good pitcher, good defender. They all have their own personal private coaches. And it's our job is how do we separate that? How do I separate greatness? What makes you different from everyone else out there? And those are the tools that we like to give them. Part of their character is another one because coaches want coachable kids. Coaches want somebody that's going to come in and be that impact player. And as a transfer, and that's what they are, is our matriculation is super important to the 4-year. And when they come in there, I don't want them to have that freshman mentality. Coaches at that level are looking for them to come in and to lead by example. And those tools, whether they're intrinsic individuals or extrinsic, we teach them how to embrace who they are and to be that leader within, whether it's doing it by demonstration or abusing their vocal. But it's important that we develop our coaches, develop our players, again, so that wherever life takes them or whatever direction the sport takes them, that they're an immediate impact wherever they land.
Really good season last year. I know it ended somewhat abruptly for you guys. You wanted to keep going, but then COVID kind of took over as well. Explain to me, because you and I talked before about recruiting and what you do in the off season to get players here. You were kind of strapped a little bit with how you could do that through COVID. Did you get through that, and how was recruiting for you?
It was a challenge, but I think having relationships is number one. When you have relationships with local high schools and you have relationships with club teams, which we call them travel ball teams, they become feeders. And especially if their kids that they're sending here are having a great experience, that word gets around that, we might not have the nicest facility around. We're a little bit outdated, but what they will do is they will get up coached. They will be part of not just a team, they'll be part of a family, they'll be part of a unit. And I think that's ultimately how we just, I'm trying to think of the right wording for it, but it's a special place. I think that's the best thing that I can't explain it into words, but when you step on the field and you feel the camaraderie and the chemistry, not just with the 8 to 9 coaches we have, but the 30 plus girls, how does that function? How do we do that? Because I believe we take the time out of our day to pour into our young girls. And it's something that I didn't mention to you earlier, but yes, we do have long days. We're out here 6 hours, but it's not just all softball. They'll come out here and they'll train from 6 to 7. We'll let them grab lunch. And then during that 45 minutes, it's time for them to sit down and we do book readings with them. We do sports psychology with them. We pour into them. We're real with them and we're transparent as coaches. There's nobody that's been through more experience than us. And if we can be that example, and I think with anything, when people are transparent, it makes it easier for other people to maybe open up about what their insecurities are, what their fears are, what their goals are, what their dreams are. And that's where we want to go. That's how deep we really want to get with these kids so that they know that, hey, we didn't bring you here just to win a championship. We brought you here to develop you because we love you and we care about you. And those are the words that we exchange. You can look through our text message, you can hear it on the field. Coach, I love you. And that truly is how we feel about these kids.
Such a cool program. Let's talk about going into next year now. Where your season sits, you didn't get crazy hit by COVID. You got your season in.
Yes, we did.
You got fall ball starting this Friday right here at Fullerton College. I know you're excited about that. But you talked to me, you lost a couple of incredible players, a pitcher, some infielders. But we said there is a great group of freshmen coming back. We just talked to one in your shortstop, D. Talk to me a little bit about that as far as what that means for those returning players and then what this team outlook looks like come April.
Yes, we did lose some key players, but we've also have a lot of freshmen returning from that 2021 successful season. Not to mention the tough freshmen that we have coming in. Definitely, we are strong in multiple positions, strong bats, I think what we have is a depth in pitching. Yes, we lost Lopez, very dominant in that circle for us. Did well in the 2019 season, taking us to state, and then winning a conference championship for us. But I feel like we have some strong-minded returners that have been here and experienced what it's like to get to the championship level. But we also have some very strong-minded pitchers, incoming freshmen, that are really going to just keep people off balance. Some decent speed, some rise balls, some off speed. I just feel like no matter what ball puts in play, whether it's on the ground, up in the air, defensively we're so solid that I believe we're going to make those plays behind our pitchers.
Thanks for joining me, Coach. October 1st and 2nd is when fall ball starts right here on this softball field. You can come out and watch it. Coach, thanks for joining me. All right, we're back here on the softball field. I have the pleasure of speaking to Speedy Mendoza, one of the co-head coaches. First of all, congratulations on two things, 25 years here,
Yes.
and an Orange Empire Conference Coach of the Year with your partner there.
Yes.
Great. What does that do for you? You've been here so long with this program. What does something like that mean to you?
Oh, it's very special. I've been here a long time, and I think our ultimate goal is to bring home a state championship here. So I think we're getting closer every year. So excited to get that award with my best friend. So.
Explain to myself and our listeners, Speedy, obviously not your real given name, but that's what everybody on the team and on the campus calls you.
Yes.
Explain the nickname for us.
That nickname came a long time ago. I was 12 years old. My first started playing softball, and I was really fast. And one of my coaches said, "We're going to name you Lightning." And then someone goes, "No, how about Speedy, like the little Speedy Gonzalez, the little rat that was fast." So it just stuck with me. And even being recruited out of high school, the college coaches they didn't know my first name. Marion's the first name, the given birth name, but I just go by Speedy. That's it.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit now about end of your season last year. Cut a little bit shorter than what you wanted, but then COVID kind of took over. Recruiting-wise, I know you and I talked, and there were some really different recruiting restrictions this year. How were you able to go out and normally where you would talk to players and coaches, you weren't able to do some of that. How did you get that recruiting trips done?
We kept everything very similar. So we kept our workouts the same, everything the same. We did live videos. So we were on Zoom. So I'd put it on social media. So kids out that were at home would still get to watch videos and live feeds. So we would show them our workouts, at home. Kids using, we didn't have weight rooms. Kids were using laundry detergent, gallons of water. So we kept our routine the same. I didn't want the kids getting in a funk being home, sleeping in. Depression sets in. Large families, a lot more kids at home. So we kept everything the same. 5:45 a.m. workouts. Kids would be outside and just kept them alive. And I think on social media was really huge for us, getting out there. And then we'd set up Zoom calls with travel teams and just put our name out there.
Going into the season now, you're going to start fall ball this Friday, as we mentioned.
Yes.
Your regular season starts in April, but you mentioned to me before you're deep at
Yes.
almost every position.
Yeah.
Losing some of the players you lost, which is normal for junior college. You're replacing a All-American pitcher.
Yes.
You're replacing some fantastic infielders, but you told me you're not worried. This is one of the best defenses you've seen in a long time here.
This is probably the best defensive team I've seen in 25 years. Deep-wise, we have 5 catchers, 9 pitchers. We're double and triple in every position. But the most beautiful part I see is our middle infield. We were just so deep in middle infield. Even 14, 15 outfielders. So we revamped. Got some solid kids. I think defensively, I'm excited. We are missing Jessica Lopez, the All-American, Pitcher of the Year, JC Pitcher of the Year. But I think with the staff we have coming in, we're super excited.
Talk to me a little bit now about fall ball. What does this do? Because it's not really for Orange Empire Conference. You're playing some teams maybe you wouldn't normally play.
Yes.
But what does that do for your players to not only get some action in here before the season starts, but maybe kind of sharpen the tool a little bit?
Yes, we're very fortunate enough to play some, NAIA schools, D3, D2, Division I. We're playing Long Beach State, Concordia, some really good schools. So we're super excited to give our kids exposure to also see what the next level is, what it's like to play at the next level. We've had success in the past. We've beaten every NAIA, D3, D2, and we've competed with D1, out in Hawaii. Cal Baptist and Long Beach State gave us a good beating, but some of the other schools we played really competitive with, and that's what we look for, just to play competitive, stay right with them.
The back of the shirts on some of your players right now say, iron sharpens iron.
Yes.
Talk to me a little bit about what that means to you guys, but as a team and as a core here, what that does for the players.
We put it on the back of the shirts because when you're running around and you see the back of your teammate's shirt, it reminds you, iron sharpens iron. So my tools and my success, I want to make sure I sharpen my other coaches. We have a large staff I'm super excited about. We have a staff of 10. So coaches, we're like a football squad right now. But all of us have our strengths and all of us have weaknesses. So if we can build off every coach's strength as a team as well. Some kids are better hitters and some people are better defensive. We put it all together, iron sharpens iron, we'll be better. So I always tell the kids, we're always as strong as our weakest link. So if we can get everybody at the same level, everybody competitive, everybody wanting to win, everyone wanting to compete at the highest level, we're going to be very successful.
Coach, thanks for joining us. You can watch the fall ball starts right here, right on this field that we're standing on right now, October 1st and 2nd. That's this Friday and Saturday. Come out to see that action, and then when the season starts, you can catch all of the action on sportsnetusa.net.
So we're here with Coach Ray of the softball team here at Fullerton College. And Coach, I've been able to talk to you, have conversations with you before football games for years, but we haven't had the opportunity to actually interview you about your position and how much you love the game of softball. Looking at your experience in the game of softball overall, what got you towards this sport specifically?
Well, what got me here is a few years ago. At the time, the head coach was Lisa Bassi. And one day she asked me to just come out and speak to the team about motivation and what I've been through. And so I did. And then she asked me, she goes, well, what's your background? I go, well, when I was a walkie, I played baseball. And she goes, oh. She goes, well, softball's kind of like baseball, but it's not. And so she asked me if I wanted to join the staff, and I did. And so little by little, she started teaching me the game, and then that's where I met Coach Speedy. And it's a fast game that keeps me interested in going and going. I mean, you've announced enough games to understand it, and I just love the sport of softball. It's wonderful for me.
I mean, when you speak of how fast it is that pace of play something that really fits more with your personality?
Yes, because I'm always on the go, and softball is, I look at both baseball and softball as playing chess, because you're constantly trying to think like 2 or 3 moves ahead, and I can see Speedy and Coach Crystal, their little minds are racing, and I've been around both of them to understand what they're doing and what to look for.
When you talk about Coach Speedy, you mentioned it earlier. You met her here while under Coach Bassi. What is one thing that has really set her apart in terms of coaching around the OEC?
Well, Speedy and I have this like kindred spirit. Back in 2010, I got married, and Speedy was actually, you want to call my best man. That's how much I respect her. She was my best man. And then while in the hospital for a few surgeries, Speedy would always call me and just let me see if I was okay, see if I needed anything. And then the teams as well would come and visit me. So my love for the program itself is just unmanaged. It's just out of this world. And Speedy, like I mentioned, is like a sister to me. We have a relationship here on the field, but we also have a relationship off the field. And the same is with Coach Crucible.
When you mentioned that, we'll say, camaraderie that the team has, and especially going out and supporting you, that's one thing that whenever we talk to alumni on the Coaches Show, they always mention, too often people say, oh, this university family, this college family. But it was different at Fullerton College.
Yes.
When they say Hornet family, it's something that was different.
It is. I mean, there's a saying here, once a Hornet, always a Hornet. And that is so true here. I have girls that still will text me or call me to see how I'm doing. And when they say that this is a family, it really is. I mean, Speedy and Crystal instill, it goes family first, then education, then softball, and then us as coaches, we mentor. And we mentor all these women, so when they go to different places, they understand what it's like, because that's what they're teaching here at Fullerton. Speedy and Crystal get them ready for the next level.
That family first aspect and those former Hornets that contact you, is it something that really gives you a boost of pride?
Yes.
To see a Hornet later having success immediately following their career here?
Yes. It's amazing these young ladies are doing at the next level. And it's not D1, it's the smaller schools, the D2s, the D3s. But Speedy and Crystal instill, you know what, you're here to play a game you love, but you're also here to get your degree and go on to the next level. And they make sure of that.
What is one thing that you try and drive home early in fall ball?
It's all about mechanics. And we, as a coaching staff, we break them down to when it comes down to hitting. You know, Coach Crystal and Coach Lex make sure they're in the same swing pattern. Me as a coach, I throw batting practice, and I can see straight ahead if they're rolling the wrist or not making the correct contact. If they do that, I can call Coach Lex over and say, hey, this is what I'm seeing. Coach Lex will talk. If it comes down to pitching, we have a new pitching coach this year, Amanda Flores. She's very good at the mechanics, breaking down. Coach Jelly, who's our catching coach, she understands what Crystal, former catcher herself, is teaching the girls. So we all have a role in making sure that they're doing the correct thing. But most of all, it's strange. I've never really worked around other coaches where Coach Speedy and Coach Crystal will come to us and say, okay, this is your job. So they give us the opportunity as coaches to do what we do best, and that's teach.
When you mention that, is there something specific that you'll look at a player and say, okay, coming out of high school, we've got to immediately correct these types of things, that way you learn the college game?
Yes. We always tell them, like me, looking at me in a chair, my specialty is speed and agility. I teach kids how to run. And I was lucky enough to work under former Hornet track coach Jim Kiefer, as well as current track coach Gina Bevick. They were my mentors, and they taught me the correct way of how to run in the arm slot. I tell the girls, if you go to a specialist, that's fine. But here, this is how we teach it at Fullerton College. You know, I'm not here to knock any other coach, but this is how we do it here. And that's the same all the way around. Crystal and Speedy have this ideal of what they want with the Hornet program. And this is how they teach it. And they make sure that we are on the same page as them. Because at the end of the day, yes, we as assistant coaches, we do our job. But everything will fall back on the head coaches.
When you talk about your own experience, I mean, you have a vast array of experience from across different sports that you meld into one spot here with the softball team. Was there one specific thing that drove you to Fullerton College so that way you could get experience under different spots?
See, what it was is, it was actually strange. When I started here at Fullerton College, I was actually going to be a paralegal. I wanted to get into the elder care field. And at one time I weighed 350 pounds. Gina Bevick, Coach Bevick, took me under her wing and taught me how to eat right and lift. And then I met Kevin Sampson, Dr. Sampson, who worked with the football team. Worked with him because he used to work with the police cadets. Right. So I learned from him. Coach Sampson told me to do is any coach I work with, since at the time I couldn't get paid, ask him to recommend a book for you. So they recommended books to me. So I started reading and reading and reading, and then that's when I fell in love with it. And then that's when Coach Bassie and Speedy said, you know what, since you've been working with these guys, and I also worked with Eddie Rapp in volleyball, since you worked with all these other coaches, your job is going to be speed and agility for me. So then that's when I started learning more and more and more. Like I tell the new young coaches, learn some coaches don't like giving a lot of information because they look at it, oh, well, this coach is stealing for me. Not here at Fullerton College. Take everything you learned and make it your own.
When you talk about coming here, thinking about being a paralegal, all of a sudden you look at all the sports here and the family that ends up bringing you in. Was that something that you necessarily expected when you ended up looking at Fullerton College?
Oh, no. I was just working out with Gina Bevick, and then I met Coach Murphy. And then met Coach Jesperson. And then Coach Jesperson was like, you know, you need to take my classes. So I started taking his classes because he was the physical ed teacher for personal training. And then with that, he actually took me down to South County to meet Todd Norman, who has his own gym called Cutting Edge, which is a sports enhancement gym. I got to watch him train the former tennis star Lindsay Davenport. Wow. So watching him work with her, and I just fell in love with it. Coach Murphy got me involved with the football program. So I used to film for them, and just Coach Mazzota took me under his wing and taught me what to look for with the defensive backs. Coach Jay with the offensive line. At the time, Ryan Rascali was the wide receiver coach. He showed me stuff about wide receivers. But at the end, everything that they teach comes back to speed and agility. And that's what I fell in love with.
When you look at how speed and agility has kind of molded what your coaching career turns into, is there something specific or a specific player that you look at and say, I remember mentoring them when they were younger into a sparkling athlete where they are now?
Well, it's kind of strange because my first year coaching, I actually worked with Selena, at the time it was Rubicaba Gonzalez, who is now a coach here on the staff. She's the infield coach. And when I walked away from the game back in 2015, Jill Siza that was her last year, one of her last years here at Fullerton. So it's kind of strange coaching both of them. And then we have a new coach, Sarah, I forgot her last name. But anyway, I worked with her when she was 10 years old. And the other girl, the pitching coach, Amanda Flores, working with her. It's just awesome. And for me, it all goes back to Speedy and Coach Crystal. They're just awesome ladies that I'm proud of. All players that do come to this has a special place in my heart. They always do. You know, I mean, once a Hornet, always a Hornet.
Well, thank you very much, Ray. Again, we've been talking with Coach Ray here at softball. You know what? Speaking of Ray, let's send it to our Ray Baker here on the Coaches Show.
See you later.
Thanks, Ryan. I'm here on the softball field. D. Ramirez is with me, shortstop for this year's team and last year's team. Let's start with last year, first of all. Unbelievable record. Fell a little bit short in the playoffs. What do you take from that season where you didn't go as far as maybe you and the rest of the team wanted to do?
I mean, it's always the little things. We had great communication. Our pitcher motivated us very much. We played for her. I just think in the end, it's always like, I mean, counting playoffs, it's always like, oh, like you want to go big, like you want to do it. You just want to go out for your team, for your pitcher and everything. I think that's where I know we could have probably stayed composed a little bit more and everything. But, I mean, other than that, we had a great team last year. Definitely during playoffs, yeah, we did fall a little short. But we did play big, I will say that.
You've got some returners coming back. A lot of good. You're one of them. A lot of good freshmen from last year that are coming back for this year's team. And we talked to coaches. This team is very deep at every position. How do you feel so far as you get ready to go into fall ball? Good schedule there. As you gear up for your season, how are you feeling right now?
It's only been a couple weeks. I want to say maybe like a month. But I can definitely say just in those couple weeks, this is probably one of the greatest defensive teams that we've had in a while. By far, the motivation, the grit, everything, from communication on the field to motivating each other in the box. It's just great. We're very vocal this year, and that's one thing I know that's going to make us very strong.
I noticed when you were taking batting practice earlier, and we've got some tape of that, you hit the fence, you're at the top of the fence in left field. And somebody from the bench said, weight room to you. And I kind of giggled. You almost took that personally because the very next pitch in batting practice, you dumped over the fence in almost the same exact spot. Is that kind of the motivation? And it's not a personal attack, obviously, but
No,
is that what the girls do on the side to kind of get you pumped for that next pitch?
Of course, it's always, like I said, it's always motivation, especially when they do it, and it's friendly competition between each other. And I think that's what helps us motivate us. Like, we always bring out the best in each other. We never take anything the wrong way. Like I said, our communication motivates us, definitely.
At shortstop, you're kind of in the middle of all the action there in the infield. Is there one player in this infield that's kind of taking control and kind of being the vocal leader, if that's you or if that's somebody else, to kind of help that communication throughout the infield?
I mean, definitely as a shortstop, you're always set to that standard as being the captain. And I know definitely from the years prior to me playing, I've come a long way. But with this team, like I said, their communication is so great. It's hard not to see them each as a captain up there. Like, from the pitcher to the third baseman, first baseman, everybody, even the outfield, you'll hear them. It's just, they're so vocal. It's hard to know, like, oh, like, they're all so big. Like, we can all be considered captains out there. It's a great team.
Getting ready to kick off fall ball this Friday. Are you excited to get back to action after the season ended last year kind of abruptly? Are you ready to get back and start playing some ball again?
Oh, definitely. Like once season ends, yeah, we get a couple days break, but you always want to keep going, keep getting back into it. And it sucks sometimes that we don't have like a summer season. I wish we did, but no, definitely excited for all the games coming, especially with this team. Like I can't stop saying it. Like this team is definitely something special.
We can't wait to see it. D, thanks very much for joining me.
So once again, we want to thank the softball coaches here on campus for allowing us to go out there and film this week for the Coaches Show. For Ray Baker, I'm Ryan Osborne. Thanking you for joining us. You've been watching the Coaches Show on 90.1 KBPK.